When you started your business, did you start your business with a goal of just making enough money to live on and just survive? Or did you design your business and start it because you wanted to build something great? My guess is it was probably the latter, not the former. You probably wanted to build something amazing and cool. You probably wanted to dominate in your market. You wanted to probably be the go-to player in your market. You wanted something great. You wanted lots of employees and lots of revenue and lots of impact and lots of freedom. You probably started with a domination mindset. And yet the reality for most small businesses is that they never actually get to experience that. The reality for most small businesses is that they're either plateaued or in decline. And those that are growing tend to grow at maybe 4, 5, 6, 8% per year. Doesn't sound like domination, does it? But what if we could turn that around? What if there was a way that you could begin to employ some strategies that would allow you to get off of this and allow you to get on a rapid growth curve? That would allow you to grow maybe at 30, 50, 70, 80, 100% or more per year and do that year after year to literally dominate and become the key player in your market space. If that were possible, would you be interested? If you would, then I want to encourage you to listen intently today, apply the principles we're going to talk about, because if you do, you can actually dominate in your market. And that's why today we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can literally dominate in your marketplace. So if you're ready, let's dig in. Way number 1, you want to invest more in building brand awareness. Invest more in building brand awareness. The vast majority of business owners and entrepreneurs get stuck here because when they think about investing money, they don't want to spend a whole lot of money in marketing because, one, they tend to think that marketing is a big hole, right? And the reality is, whenever you invest money in marketing, guess what? It's always a loss leader on the front end. Marketing always loses money until it doesn't. But on the front end, it does. So a lot of business owners are afraid of spending money in marketing because they just see it as a big hole. We spend a lot of money and I can't trace the dollars. I don't know if there's an ROI on it, so I might as well just cut it out. Secondly, a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs really don't know a whole lot about marketing, and so they tend to feel like, why in the world am I investing a lot of money about something I really don't know anything about anyways, and how to lead my team or make good investments, so we'll deal with it another day. And the third reason is because if they do think about marketing, they like to trace the dollars and know the ROI, so they tend to like direct response marketing. Now, I have nothing against direct response marketing. I think you should do direct response marketing. The idea behind direct response marketing is, let's say I buy some Facebook ads, I put some money out, maybe $1,000 out, and I get back more than $1,000. Good, I'm going to keep doing that. And so business owners like direct response marketing and should. But as one of my mentors, Sharon Svatsa, likes to say, fame is the most efficient business model. Fame is the most efficient business model. And what he means by that is that when you have fame, everything is infinitely easier, right? If you have a big name in your industry, like a celebrity does, it's easier to sell stuff. Everybody's aware of what you're doing and they stay around longer. And by the way, they're willing to pay a premium. So if you want to be really good, one of the things you want to do is build brand awareness or build fame into your business, because the more that you do that, the better it is going to be at you being able to attract more people, and you're going to be able to charge a premium. The key is that you just have to be willing to do it for a long enough span of time. And if you do, and you're willing to do that, then all your direct response marketing stuff is going to pay off. You're going to be able to see the return in the long run because you've done what most people are not willing to do. Now, back in my old church days, I experienced this when we were building our church, because I made a commitment to doing direct mail because I wanted everybody to know who we were. Most churches wouldn't do it, and if they did, they'd do it like maybe 3 or 4 or 5,000 pieces one time and they'd give up. I was sending out 6 to 8 pieces to 40,000 homes, basically everybody in Germantown, 6 to 8 times a year. Even if you didn't go to our church, you knew who we were, right? Because we were in your mailbox all the time, year after year. Well, other people are looking to get a return right away. I just knew that if I do this over a long time, everybody's going to know who we are. And we did a bunch of other brand building things. But the idea was that everybody should know who we are, because it's impossible to dominate your market if people don't know who you are. And that's the beauty of brand building. It's not an either or, you do direct response or brand building. You should do both of them, because both are going to work well together. But the vast majority of small businesses don't invest a whole lot in brand building, and then they wonder, why aren't we dominating? Well, because people don't know who you are. So the first strategy that I would highly recommend that you begin to engage in starting now is to invest more in your brand building activities so that you have more awareness, and do that over a long span of time, not just for what's going to happen this month. You're thinking in years, not in weeks. So that's strategy number one. You want to dominate, you got to invest more in brand building awareness. And strategy number two, way number two, specialize over generalize. Specialize over generalize. Another classic mistake that an awful lot of business owners and entrepreneurs make is that they like to think, if I add more stuff, then people have more ways to give me money. So if I want to make more money, I just have to have lots of lines out there cast, and therefore I'm going to catch more fish. And I understand the analogy. It just doesn't work that well if you're trying to grow and scale your company, because no one becomes well known for doing 50 things or 100 things. You become well known for doing one thing, and that one thing is your specialty. That's why people talk so much about niching as a domination strategy, because when you niche down, you're not trying to compete against everybody. You're very narrowly becoming an expert and specialist in that one thing. Just like when I had to get my wrist surgery done, I didn't look for a surgeon. I looked for a wrist surgeon. I wanted the specialist. And that one person, Dr. Coco, was easy to find because everybody knew in the area, he's the guy. If you got a wrist problem, there you go. Similar to if you want to go to a restaurant. If you love seafood and you love Italian, there's one restaurant in town that's a great seafood and Italian place. That's all they do. They don't do 100 things, but they charge a premium price. You're going to have a great meal. It's going to be a great experience. On the other hand, a lot of restaurants are saying, yeah, but what if they happen to like German food? Or what if they happen to like Mexican food? Or what if they happen to like Chinese food? Like, why don't we offer it all? And then you have a menu of 200, 500 items, and no one can make 200 or 500 items amazing. You want to become known for something, focus in on being a specialist, not a generalist. Reduce the number of offerings, reduce the number of products, and become known for doing this one thing. If you do, you will be able to dominate. Maybe go to 2 or 3 things. But if you get past 3 things, it's hard for most people in their minds to allow any one person or any one company to own the brain share for 3 or 5 or more things. So focus primarily on 1 or 2 things and specialize in those things, and you'll be able to dominate your marketplace. So that's strategy, or way number 2. Way number 3, differentiate on those things that matter to your customers. Differentiate on what matters to your customers. Another classic mistake that a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs make is they think, well, I like this, so therefore everybody else likes that. So if I'm going to differentiate, I should differentiate on, let's say, my process. Like, this is a unique process that we use. Or I think it's really cool that I've been in business for the last 30 years. So our differentiator is we've been around for 30 years. Or maybe you love technology and you say, hey, we've got this really cool tech thing that most people don't use. And when you work with us, you get this really cool tech thing. But the problem is that we're differentiating on what matters to us. Our customers really don't care what matters to us. They only care what matters to them. And when you and I focus in on them and what they care about, then we can really differentiate on something that matters, right? Because they're going to buy not because we think something's different. They're going to buy because they think something is different. So for example, for years, I've been helping a lot of people switch from PCs to Macs, and have done that since the 80s. And one of the reasons why I loved my Mac was because I didn't want to be an expert in how to put together a computer. I didn't want to add sound cards and memory cards and all the cool stuff that other people like to add. There are a lot of people like me who just want a computer that works. And that's what Steve delivered, right? His common refrain to people was, it just works. And I said, exactly. I want to turn it on and I want to be productive. I don't want to mess on the back end of it. I just want it to look great, be easy to use, and produce whatever I wanted to produce. And that's what it did. No blue screens of death. Everything was integrated. It just worked, right? That mattered to me. He differentiated on something that mattered to a customer, and they won. And by the way, their premium that they've been able to charge over the years has allowed them to become one of the most valuable companies on the planet. Why? Because people are willing to pay more for something that matters to them, not what somebody else thinks matters to them. So I would highly recommend differentiate on what your customers really want, not what you think is important. But if you do that, if you differentiate on what your customers really want, I'm telling you, you can dominate your market, because very few businesses are willing to do the work with their customers to figure out what the customer really wants. And sometimes it's going to surprise you. Remember, the founders of Instagram, thought it was a really cool check-in app. And that's what they were focused in on. But when they got data back from their customers, and when they looked at their own internal data of what people were using, they found out that people were actually using the camera thing and all the filters more than they were using the other stuff. And so they pivoted and they focused in on the thing that the customers really wanted, the camera idea of the pictures. And as you know, Instagram's become rather famous because of that, right? And by the way, that was one thing that they became really well known for. All right, way number 4. Harness more brains. Harness more brains. Another classic mistake that a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs make is when they're building their business, they think that their brain is the primary brain, and therefore all the great ideas need to emanate from them. And so when they're thinking about dominating in their market, they're thinking about, well, what ideas do I have? Well, that is usually not the smartest strategy. What you're going to find is if you want to grow and scale a great company, you need to harness as many brains as you possibly can, not just your top team. That also includes your employees. That might include friends and other business people. It might include coaches or consultants that you're going to hire. It might include getting trade journals or working with think tanks. But you need to harness as many brains as you possibly can, because the more brains that you harness, the greater the probability you're going to come up with some really good ideas. One brain probably isn't going to do that alone, but lots of brains harnessed together, trying to figure out how can we dominate in our marketplace, that is a winning idea. So if you really want to dominate in your market, get out of your own head and start thinking, like, how can I harness more brains? Who can I bring into this inner circle? Who can I bring to the table that can help us generate really considerate, significant, market-moving kinds of ideas? And the sooner you can harness more brains, the sooner you're going to dominate in your market. That's strategy number 4, or way number 4. And the 5th and final way, or the 5th strategy I would recommend, is this: that you want to commit to domination. Commit to domination. The vast majority of business owners and entrepreneurs love the idea of domination. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we were the go-to company in our marketplace? Wouldn't it be great if we owned this market space? Wouldn't it be great? And of course it would be great. Who wouldn't like the idea? I mean, it's kind of like, who doesn't like the idea of being healthy and in shape, right? But it just doesn't happen that way because we think, hey, that's a great idea. It happens because we make a commitment to doing that thing. And the ability to dominate doesn't happen because we kind of want something. It happens because we go all in. And that only happens with commitment. Literally, any business that's going to dominate its market has to have its burn the ships moment when it says, I don't care what's in front of us, we're going to get through it. And if a big wall erects itself in front of us, guess what? We're going to chip at it and find our way through it. And it might take us a month, 3 months, 6 months. It might take us 2 years to get through it, but we're going to get through it because we're committed to dominating in our marketplace. Like, that doesn't happen unless you make that commitment. That commitment to not only work hard for a long span of time, even if you're not seeing the results, that commitment to getting metrics, looking at those metrics, hiring people, holding people accountable, firing people, bringing in new talent, onboarding that talent, building in new technology, developing new strategies. You got to do that over a long span of time. But guess what? If you do, you can dominate. But it's very difficult to dominate anything if you don't have the commitment on the front end. That commitment to say, hey, I'm all in, we're going to dominate, we're going to be the go-to player in this market space. Not as an idea, but like as a commitment. And no matter what stands in front of us, we're going to find a way through it or around it or over it or under it, but it will not hold us back because we're committed to being the dominant player in this marketplace. So there you have it. 5 strategies that you can begin to use beginning today that can help you begin to dominate in your marketplace. So let's go back through them real quickly. Number 1, invest more in your brand building awareness. Number 2, make sure you specialize versus generalize. Number 3, differentiate on what matters to your customers. Number 4, harness more brains. And number 5, commit to domination. And if you do those 5 things, you can begin to dominate and win in your marketplace. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, I'd encourage you to check out this other video on how you can differentiate in 4 simple steps. And I hope if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening by podcast, because my commitment to you week in and week out is to provide you actionable ideas that can help you grow and scale a self-operating business that can double every 12 to 36 months. So until next week, to your accelerated success, Bruce out.